Hello, I'm Edward Tarte, once a Catholic priest for 5 years in the 1960s, now an atheist, which means I find no credible evidence for the existence of any God. This is the 23rd in my series of weekly religion videos for friendlyatheist.com. This video is about Christians' view of marriage. The biblical Jesus made no reported statements concerning homosexuality, but he did comment very forcefully on marriage. In Matthew 19, he reportedly said concerning marriage, "What God has joined together, let no man separate. Whoever puts away his wife except for fornication and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries her who has been put away commits adultery." As with so much of what Jesus reportedly said, this is not totally clear. But apparently he is saying, with one sexual exception, either that divorce must not take place, or if it does, neither person is allowed to remarry. But many Christians, in fact, do divorce and remarry, and most Christians are willing to do so under particular circumstances. Christians profess to follow Jesus 100%. But by what they do and by what they are willing to do, Christians routinely go against these reported words of Jesus. They are, in effect, acknowledging what I say openly, that the biblical Jesus did not understand the complexities and nuances of human relationships and human psychology. Probably most Christians would not come right out and say, "We disagree with Jesus." But by their actions, they do disagree with him, while nevertheless professing total allegiance to him. That clearly comes under the definition of hypocrisy. The first prominent hypocrite of this type that I find was the biblical apostle Paul, supposedly totally committed to Jesus. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul reportedly wrote, "The Lord commands, let not the wife depart from her husband. But I say, if a non-believing spouse departs, let him or her depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases." Now, the Catholic Church takes Jesus' reported words on marriage very seriously and uses them as the basis for probably the strictest grip on marriage in Christianity. Generally, the Catholic Church does not allow divorce followed by remarriage, but it makes this exception described by Paul, allowing divorce followed by remarriage when one of the divorcees is a non-Christian. The Catholic Church calls this exception the Pauline privilege. And the Catholic Church sometimes makes another similar exception, when both divorcees are Christian believers, but one of them was never baptized. It calls this exception the privilege of the faith. So this hypocrisy of which I speak includes not only the biblical Paul, but also the Catholic Church, as well as almost all other Christians. That is more than enough hypocrisy, but it is compounded by the attitude of most Christians toward gay rights, including gay marriage. The biblical Jesus' father, the biblical God, says in the alleged Word of God, the Old Testament, book of Leviticus, chapter 20, that all who practice homosexuality are to be killed. That is too much, too harsh for most Christians. But they do oppose gay rights and gay marriage, and they will vote their opposition. As the gay rights advocate John Shore has said, "You Christians want to condemn a homosexual to a life devoid of love. Be alone, you are demanding. Live alone. Don't hold anyone's hand. Don't snuggle on your couch with anyone. Don't cuddle up with anyone at night before you fall asleep. Do not bind your life to that of another. Live your whole life without knowing that joy, that sharing, that peace. Just say no to love. Be alone, live alone, die alone. And to those words of Mr. Shore, I add, you Christians are saying in effect to gays, we can have these rights of love even when we go against what Jesus said. That's because we are straight. But you can't because you are gay. This is Christian hypocrisy compounded. Because it is so relevant to a central issue of human life, I am calling it Christian hypocrisy at its worst. Gay marriage is a broadening of the traditional concept of marriage. As such, it is not a threat to traditional marriage between a man and a woman. I have many reasons for making these religion videos. This Christian hypocrisy is by itself sufficient reason. To all of you, thank you for watching this video.